Betrayal doesn't always creep in like a whisper. Sometimes, it crashes into your life like a wrecking ball, obliterating everything you thought you knew. For me, it happened on an ordinary evening, in the most unexpected way. I was at home when it started. It had been a long day at work, and I had settled into the couch with a beer, half watching some documentary on TV. Lauren, my wife of 9 years, had gone out to dinner with a friend. I never questioned it. Maybe I should have. Maybe I should have noticed the signs, the extra time getting ready, the way she checked her phone a little too often, the distant look in her eyes when I kissed her goodbye. The first sign of trouble came in the form of a phone call. It wasn't from Lauren. It was from Mark, a friend of mine who worked at a restaurant downtown. His voice was low, hesitant. "Andrew, man, I don't know how to say this, but you need to get down here. Now." I frowned. "What's going on?" "It's Lauren," he said. "She's here. With some guy. And it's not going well." My blood turned ice. "What do you mean?" Mark hesitated, then sighed. "Just get here. You need to see this." I didn't ask any more questions. I grabbed my keys and was out the door in minutes, my heart pounding against my ribs. The drive felt like an eternity. Every worst-case scenario ran through my head, each one worse than the last. By the time I pulled into the parking lot, my hands were shaking. I stepped inside, scanning the dimly lit restaurant, and then I saw her. Lauren. She was sitting at a corner table, across from a man I had never seen before. A man who was now standing up, his face twisted in anger. People were watching. Some whispering, some pulling out their phones. Lauren's face was red with embarrassment, her eyes filled with tears. And then, in front of everyone, he walked away. Just like that. Lauren sat there, stunned, humiliated, as the man she had risked our marriage for abandoned her like she was nothing. Something inside me snapped. I stormed over, my footsteps heavy, my breath coming in sharp, uneven bursts. Lauren saw me at the last second, her face crumbling into something between shame and fear. "Andrew," she started, but I didn't let her finish. I grabbed the half-empty wine glass from the table and threw it against the floor. It shattered, the sound cutting through the stunned silence of the restaurant. "Are you kidding me?" My voice was low, trembling with rage. "You were here with another man?" People gasped. The whispers grew louder. Lauren's hands were shaking. "Andrew, please, let's not do this here." I laughed. A sharp, bitter sound. "Oh, no. You don't get to decide where we do this. You don't get to control this anymore." She reached for me, but I yanked my arm away. "Don't touch me," I spat. "Don't even look at me." Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't care. The damage was already done. I turned and walked out, leaving her there, alone, humiliated, and exposed. But this wasn't over. Not even close. She came home an hour later, still crying. I was standing in the kitchen, gripping the counter so hard my knuckles had gone white. My mind was racing, my body buzzing with adrenaline. The rage hadn't faded. It had only grown. Lauren stepped inside hesitantly, her eyes puffy, her hands clutching her purse like it was a shield. "Andrew." Her voice was barely above a whisper. I didn't answer. Instead, I picked up a plate from the counter and smashed it against the floor. She flinched. I grabbed another, then another. Each one shattered, echoing through the house. Lauren sobbed. "Andrew, stop." I turned to her, breathing hard. "Stop." My voice was dangerously calm. "You want me to stop?" Her lip trembled. "I made a mistake." I slammed my fist onto the counter. "A mistake?" "That wasn't a mistake, Lauren. A mistake is forgetting to pay a bill. A mistake is losing your keys. What you did, that was a choice." Tears streamed down her face. "I love you." I laughed. A hollow, empty sound. "No. You love attention. You love sneaking around. You love yourself." She sobbed harder, covering her face with her hands. "Please, Andrew. I don't want to lose you." I exhaled slowly, shaking my head. "You lost me the second you chose him." Silence filled the room. Heavy. Suffocating. Then I straightened, my voice steady, final. "You're not staying here." Her head snapped up. "What?" I met her eyes, unblinking. "Pack your things. You're leaving. First thing in the morning." Panic flashed across her face. "Andrew, please." I stepped forward, towering over her. "I don't want to hear another word from you. Get out." She stared at me, realization dawning. This was real. She had destroyed everything, and there was no coming back from it. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to Lauren sob in the guest room. I felt nothing. Not sadness. Not regret. Just cold, quiet resolve. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. Tomorrow, she would leave this house. And soon, I would make sure she lost everything else, too. Morning came fast. Lauren barely slept. I could hear her shifting, her muffled sobs through the walls. But I didn't care. I woke up early, went downstairs, and made coffee like it was just another day. For me it was. For Lauren, it was the day her life fell apart. She shuffled into the kitchen, her eyes red, her face pale. She looked small, fragile, like a woman who finally understood what she had done. "Andrew," she whispered, her voice raw. "Please don't do this." I sipped my coffee, watching her with cold detachment. "You think I'm just going to let you stay here? After what you did?" She swallowed hard, gripping the counter for support. "I don't have anywhere to go." I set my mug down, my jaw tightening. "Not my problem." Tears welled up in her eyes. "Andrew, I made a mistake." I slammed my hand on the counter. "Stop calling it that. It wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. You threw everything away." She broke down, her body shaking. But I had no sympathy left. I turned and walked away, heading toward the front door. When I opened it, her suitcase was already waiting outside. She stared at it, then back at me, realization hitting like a freight train. "You packed my things." I nodded. "Everything you need is in there. The rest? I'll have it sent to you, wherever you end up." She covered her mouth, her breath hitching. "You can't just throw me out like this." I took a step forward, my voice low. "Watch me." She hesitated for a second, like she wanted to fight back. But there was nothing left to fight for. She had lost. Slowly, she picked up the suitcase, her hands trembling. She looked at me one last time, hoping, praying, for mercy. She found none. I shut the door in her face. And just like that, she was gone. But I wasn't done. Kicking her out was only the beginning. I still had more to take from her. Lauren had built her reputation around being the perfect wife, the woman with the perfect marriage. She wanted people to admire her, to envy her. So I made sure they saw who she really was. First, I sent the proof to her family. The texts, the photos, the details of the man who humiliated her in the restaurant. Her mother called me an hour later, sobbing. "I can't believe this," she whispered. "I raised her better than this." I said nothing. There was nothing left to say. Next, I sent the same proof to her friends. By the afternoon, they had turned on her. The calls stopped. The messages dried up. The women who used to idolize her now saw her for what she was: a cheater, a liar, a fraud. Thank you for listening to the story to the end. Please like, share your thoughts, and subscribe.